G'day folks, something different for today. I've left my fishing rods at home, well, in the car. They live in the car, so that's their home I guess. And I've pulled out one of my rifles and I'm going shooting. I'm going fox shooting. But before I say too much about what I'm going to be doing, first let me just say that I am by no means an expert shooter. I enjoy shooting. I've grown up in the bush, I've lived here all my life, and I've been shooting for most of my life as well as fishing. Most of you will know how much I love my fishing, but I do like to go shooting from time to time. So I'm not a gun fanatic. My dad is. He reloads guns, he's got heaps of guns, he likes to reload ammunition and he checks his velocities, his impacts. He's got a chronograph which registers the speed of the bullet. I don't do any of that sort of stuff, that's not me. I delve further into the fishing side of things. When it comes to shooting, I decide to go shooting from time to time and shoot a few rabbits or a few foxes. In the winter I might go out and try and stalk a few deer. I am a licensed shooter here in Victoria. I've got a category B licence and I just enjoy once in a while to pull out something different than a fishing rod, make a bit of noise and kill something. But anyway, shooting here in Australia is quite a fast growing sport. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as more people get involved. What I'm aiming to do with this video is just teach people that are new to fox whistling or fox shooting the things that I do and what works for me, in the hope that I can give people the foundations to go out and enjoy shooting foxes as much as I do. And if they want to then go on to become an expert in the field or to learn to reload and stuff like that, that is wonderful. They can go and watch someone else's channel. But this video is designed just to get people up to scratch, get them started, or if they already know what they're doing, to hopefully get them inspired. I inspire people to go fishing, but I don't know how well I'll go with shooting. I'm going to be talking a bit before I actually go shooting because I want to go through all my tips and what I'm using and what I do. Righto. Now, I've got all that out of the way. Let's get started. The first thing I need is a whistle. And I've got one here. It's an Apex fox whistle. I've had this for a few years and I absolutely love it. Before I got this, I was using a button whistle. The button whistle was really good, it was effective, it's been around for a long time and foxes come into it, which was great, but they're not very loud. This Apex whistle is very loud. It's a similar design, don't know whether I can get that close to the camera, it's a similar folded design to the Tenterfield whistle you can see there. It's got this little hole in here to help the air whistle through and this open bit here to sort of echo the sound out a little bit, a bit like a trumpet, a bit like my mouth, just to echo the sound out more. I like this better than the button whistle simply because it is so loud and also because it's got more of a high-pitched, squawky, sort of pained sound. It's not just a straight whistling sound. Some of you may have used or heard of the Tenterfield whistle. This works along similar lines. I have used them both. I prefer the Apex because I like the fact that it's stainless steel. I've had this for a few years and it looks the same as it did the day I first got it. And I also find that this is a bit louder than the Tenterfield. The Tenterfield is a great whistle, I'm not denying that or detracting from that. Comparing an Apex whistle to a Tenterfield whistle is a bit like comparing a Ford to a Holden. Some people will like a Ford and some people like the Holden for whatever reason. And that's the same with the Apex and the Tenterfield, they're both excellent whistles, but I like the Apex for me because it's loud and I have a habit of not looking after things and being stainless steel is good. It takes a bit of getting used to. You've got to put your lips just past that little hole, you have to press your tongue like that, on the back of it. If you don't, you just get, and that's where a lot of people go wrong and say it's hard to use. If I do that, but I put my tongue on the back, it turns it into a whistle. The only difference there was I put my tongue on the back. From there, you can move it up and down to adjust it to how you like it. You can even squeeze this bit in and out or move it in and out and position it to how you like it. No tongue, tongue. You can't get much better than that. I've actually called wedge-tail eagles in with this. I've called rabbits in with it. I've called magpies and all kinds of things. But it's very effective on foxes and there's every chance that a fox could come in here now while I'm filming just to see what I'm doing. So that's the first thing I need is the whistle. The fox whistle Foxes are, they're wimps, they're gutless. They love to eat or hunt down things that are defenceless and vulnerable. Things like chooks that can't fight back, lambs that can't fight back, or wounded animals. Animals that are already wounded and can't put up a fight. Foxes love them. A lot of animals, when they're wounded, they make a whistling sound. A lot of you may have heard rabbits that have been shot and haven't been killed properly or caught in a trap, and they whistle. It's quite an insidious sound. I don't like it very much. It's quite cruel, but that's what they do. Whether it's a bird or even if a snake eats a rabbit will make that squealing sound, and a lot of other small marsupials and animals do as well. This whistle is designed to mimic a wounded animal. Not necessarily a rabbit, but something like a rabbit. It's a generic whistling sound, it's a generic wounded animal sound. So that's designed to mimic a wounded animal. So anything that will eat a wounded animal will be attracted to the whistle. Now foxes love to hunt wounded animals, so they're attracted to the whistle. So they come into the direction of the whistle. But they can't smell. They can't smell the dead animal because it's not there. So really they're looking for me because I think I'm the dead animal. So they'll often put their noses down while they rummage around, so they're moving towards me with their nose down, sniffing around the ground because a lot of scents sink low, and they're down low sniffing, so they're not actively looking, which makes them even dumber, makes them come running even closer again. So what I'll find, when I'm fox whistling, there's no need to go out and spend a fortune on lavish camouflage gear. Well, look what I'm wearing. A flannelette shirt with the sleeves cut off. In typical Robbie Alexander style. If you watch my fishing videos, you'll see that I'm not one to bling up, so to speak, when I'm out the bush. A sleeveless shirt, or sleeveless, it wasn't sleeveless, but it is now a flannelette shirt, a pair of long pants, because I don't need to be super camouflaged. The most important thing that I can do to camouflage is stay quiet and stay still. So all I need to do is go and lean on a tree like that, or stand beside it and blow the whistle. As long as I'm not moving, that fox isn't going to get, I'm not going to get that fox's attention. So if I blow the whistle, then stand dead still, because the fox, his ears are waiting for the whistle, its nose is trying to pick up the smell, and because the nose is down, the eyes are pointing down, quite often they'll come running right up to you because they're not looking for a person. Does that make sense? If I'm walking through the bush here with a gun looking for a fox, they will see me move long before I see them, and then they'll run. So by standing dead still and wearing something nice and dark, something that'll blend in a little bit with the background, you don't want to wear a bright coloured shirt, but you don't need to go all out on lavish camouflage gear either. But just by wearing something like this, a green shirt, a green polo shirt, flannelette shirt, just a dull colour, and just standing dead still, and preferably in the shade, I am going to be very, very camouflaged, more than enough camouflage. The worst thing I've got is these sunglasses because they're quite bright coloured, they're bright orange. I normally sit them in there or put them in my pocket, or even better, I leave them in the car. So there's the camouflage, there's the whistle. Let's talk about the gun. What I'm using today is my 17 HMR. It's a Marlin 917 VS. It is the 17 HMR, for those that don't know, it's a necked down 22 Magnum. Same size case as a 22 Magnum, but a smaller projectile. It's a rimfire rifle, so it's obtainable on a Category A firearms license. You don't need a Category B because it hasn't got the primer, it's not a centerfire. And it's probably the most powerful and the most fastest rimfire rifle or firearm available on a Category A license. I know in the hunting scene there's a lot of arguing between what's better, a 17 HMR and a 22 Magnum. That's like arguing what's better between a Tenterfield fox whistle and an Apex fox whistle. They're both pretty much of a muchness. The 17 HMR has its pros and cons, and so does the 22 Magnum. The 17 HMR shoots faster, it shoots flatter, so you don't have to give as much holdover on a shorter distance, but it doesn't punch as hard as what a 22 Magnum does. The 17 HMR is more affected by the wind than what the 22 Magnum is. So if you want something that's fast and flat, the HMR is a better option. They group a lot better at 100 metres than what the 22 Magnum does, I think they do. But the 22 Magnum just has that extra knocking power. And to be quite honest, if I could click my fingers and turn this into a 22 Magnum, I reckon I probably would. I love the HMR, but I find when I'm rabbit shooting more than anything, it has a habit, you head shoot the rabbit, nice clean shot, blows the rabbit in half, but they don't knock straight down. They seem to bounce around or whatever and end up down their burrows a lot more with the HMR than what they do with the 22 Magnum. But I haven't got a Magnum, I've got a HMR. I love this gun. It is very good for what I need it for. It's a great fox gun. I think it's great for fox whistling because a lot of the time the foxes are running towards me and I can get a nice front-on shot either of the head, if they've got their head down, or if they stop and look up, through the chest. And it usually drops them quite well. Sometimes they might kick around a little bit and then move on a little bit, but it shoots quite well. If you want to shoot from a further distance, a longer range or something like that, I suggest a 204 Ruger or a 220 Swift or even a 223, something a bit bigger again. But I'm using the 17 HMR. I'm blowing the fox whistle. There's a few other tips and tricks as well, and I'm going to tell you what they are. Your scent. Always walk upwind. Whether you've got aftershave on or you haven't had a shower and you've got BO or for whatever reason, we smell. It's a foreign smell to the foxes. Foxes are a canine, they're a dog, and they rely so much on their sense of smell. Now when I put this on, this actually smells nice, too nice. It's very clean. I just took it out of the washing basket. I washed it last night. It's got that laundry detergent smell, and a fox will hone in on that from a long way away. At the moment, the breeze is coming from the south, sort of west-southwest, so I'm going to walk into the wind because I want my scent to blow backwards. It's very, very critical when you're fox whistling that you are downwind of the fox. I want the fox to be upwind of me, if that makes sense, because they will smell me. I won't smell them, but they will certainly smell me. I have seen foxes hit my scent. It's like they hit a brick wall. I've seen them running in at full speed, then they just almost trip over. They stop so suddenly because they've got a whiff of me, then they stop and take off another direction. They haven't seen me, but they've smelt me. So it's very, very critical to stand downwind from the fox so that their scent comes down towards me and not the other way around. I like this time of the year. I work on the theory that a lot of the foxes that I'm going to be trying to whistle in this time of the year come in to my whistle because they've just left the den. They've just left their parents' den. They're out hunting for themselves. So they're big enough to be out hunting on their own and providing for themselves, yet they're still young and stupid enough to come into Robbie Alexander when he blows a fox whistle. Now some people can call them all year round with various different sorts of whistles, predator calls that go rah, and make funny noises, different sorts of whistles, mooching, smooching, whatever you call it, techniques. I can't, plain and simple. I can only whistle on this time of year. End of story. I'm just not good enough. That's okay. So for me personally, this is fox whistling season from sort of mid to late summer through to about mid-autumn or a bit earlier. I find by the end of April I'm finding it really hard to get them to come to the whistle. They're thinking about pairing up and for whatever reason I just can't get them in. Last year's young ones are probably a bit older and a bit more wiser. So I like this time of the year, mid-summer to mid-autumn is my favourite time of the year to get a fox in with the fox whistle. Walking upwind, standing still in the shade, blowing my Apex fox whistle with my 17 HMR. That's my formula, folks. I hope this has given people just a few tips and tricks and ideas to either add to the knowledge they already have or just to get them started in the wonderful world of fox shooting, because it is great fun and you're doing the bush and the environment a favour by culling these pest animals.